That's just someone else getting. There are no get-rich-quick schemes. That's just someone else getting rich off you. There are no get-rich-quick schemes. That's just someone else getting rich off you.
This goes back to the world being an efficient place. If there's an easy way to get rich, it's already been exploited. There are a lot of people who will sell you ideas and schemes on how to make money, but they're just always selling you some $79.95 course or some audiobook or some seminar, which is fine. Everyone needs to eat. People need to make a living. They might actually have really good tips, but if they're giving you actionable, high-quality advice that acknowledges that it's a difficult journey and will take a lot of time, then I think that's realistic. But if they're selling you some get-rich-quick scheme, whether it's crypto or whether it's an online business or seminar, they're just making money off you. That's their get-rich-quick scheme. It's not going to necessarily work for you.
There are no get-rich-quick schemes. That's just someone else getting rich off you. There are no get-rich-quick schemes. That's just someone else getting rich off you. There are no get-rich-quick schemes. That's just someone else getting rich off you.
You read stuff by people who are already very wealthy and they've clearly made their wealth in other fields, not by selling the how to get rich line. They have credibility. You just trust them. And they're not trying to make money off of you. They are obviously trying to win some status, some ego, right? You always have to be motivated for doing something. But at least that is a clear reason why they're probably not lying. They're probably not fooling you. They're not snowing you.
No background music today, guys. All right, let's get into it. What is going on? Give me 1 second here. Share this. Share that. Yeah. All right. What's going on, Stanio Clanio? Welcome into Team Stanio Live. Hadn't done a little intro music before. I came across this album today when I was working out. If you don't know about Akira the Don, dude's awesome. Puts together some amazing kind of like speeches to music from some pretty cool thinkers of the day. Hey, I'm excited. We got a lot to cover today. There's a lot of news happening in Cincinnati. So welcome in. This is Team Stanio Live. My name is Eric Stanio. We're talking all things Cincinnati real estate, life, and what it's like to live here in the world. There's we had a big week. We had a lot of things going on at Team Stanio. Helped a lot of clients, sold a few homes. Helped one client today put his house up for sale. He's trying to sell one, buy another one. And it's very tricky. He actually contacted me on the investor side. He wanted to do a cash offer. I was like, I don't know, man. Let's put this on the market. Put it on the market. We got him 14 grand over his list price. And look, the list price was below 200. So he's feeling really good about that. Plus, I think we got his inspections nailed down where he won't have to do much on repairs and occupancy 14 days after closing. So always fun helping clients, get better than what they were hoping for. That's a really fun thing about being a realtor is exceeding expectations. We got a lot going on. VK, what's up? Let's go. Can't wait until fall. We're paying down debt and pray to God to speak with you soon. Let's do it. If you guys are watching, be sure to check in the chat. Would love to know where you're watching from. And hey, check out the new swag. We also had a client event this weekend. We were at the aquarium. We had like 100 plus Team Stanio Clanio clients show up. Stanio Clanio churn out, bringing their kids, heading down to the Newport Aquarium. It was a blast. I mean, here's just a few of the people who showed up outside. And again, these are all past clients. So if you go with here, my son took this eel, which was like crazy to look at. So my son was the photographer of the day. Look at that thing. You do not want to be in the water near that thing. That reminds me of Princess Bride, those eels. But yeah, tons of people showed out, touching stingrays and sea anemones and sea urchins and sharks. Newport Aquarium, very, very cool. Awesome time. Thank you, Stanio Clanio, for being there. That was a ton of fun. And that's just one of the perks of being one of our clients. If you do end up going with us and using us as your realtor of choice, is we love to do these client events throughout the year. No cost to you. So this was completely free. Plus you got some sweet swag. We've had these Yetis in the past. We've had beanies. We've had, what else have we done? t-shirts at the Reds game, different bags, and now these sweet hoodies, which are very soft, very comfortable. So looking forward to that. And hopefully we will pull off another event this summer. Would love to do a Reds game again. That was a blast last year. All right, lots of news to get to tonight. Early year, it was kind of slow the last month or so, but man, a lot of things rolled out tonight. First thing we're going to kind of look at is what's going on with some proposed zoning changes here in Cincinnati. And it's a big deal. So Mayor Aftab Pureval, we're going to dive into this and what it means and what specific areas of the city that could mean, what that means if you're living here, what that means if you're potentially selling a home or if you're looking to invest in the city. So we got some news on that. We got some news on the convention center and got some new renderings on what that's going to look like, which is very exciting. Plus, there's a bunch of people looking to extend the streetcar, and they're talking about new potential routes, which is exciting there. We're going to touch on that. Take a look at that. There's also some news with Coney Island, as so many people here locally were sad about Coney Island going away. There's some news about the new music venue that they're wanting to put out there. Also, the Brent Spence Bridge continues to move forward, and that means gobbling up some different places of land like Goble Park there in Covington, Kentucky. But let's start off here. Big news of the week is that Mayor Aftab Pureval proposes a major overhaul of Cincinnati's land use policy. Let's get into this because this is very interesting and could mean for some pretty big changes in terms of zoning, but also getting a lot more residences inside of Cincinnati. So let's take a look here. The mayor has proposed the first major rewrite of Cincinnati's land use policy in 20 years, a sweeping revision aimed at significantly increasing the amount of housing being built in a city that needs thousands of new housing units to meet demand. If you guys have been watching this channel, we've been talking about it for months, now years. And this is not just a Cincinnati problem. This is a problem nationally in a lot of cities, not everywhere because Cincinnati is local. But here in Cincinnati, things are still affordable. We are short on housing. We talked about last week. Actually, the video that I put out this last week was talking about how Cincinnati is expected to be the second hottest real estate market in the entire nation. And part of that is a big reason for that reason in Zillow's ranking was the velocity of sale here in Cincinnati, meaning how fast do homes sell when they're put on the market. And because inventory has been so tight, that's why houses have sold so fast. And that's why Cincinnati is continuing to expect to be a red hot housing market in the coming year. So we need housing. We need housing badly. And that's kind of the idea here from the mayor is how do we get more in? This is a really creative idea. So I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on it as we go. But I thought this was really interesting. What people can build on a single family zone land and along busy thoroughfares, how many apartments they can put within a building, and how much parking they have to provide all would change. So this is going to get a little wonky, guys. If you're not like super interested into zoning laws or the fine details of parking and setbacks on real estate, you might not care. But I wanted to give this picture again. If you're thinking of moving here, what that means, and if you're living here, what that could mean in terms of more people living here, trying to get more housing here, the price tag of your property and so forth, because this is a big proposal being presented here. Pureval unveiled his long-awaited plan Monday, the first step in a 6-month process. More information is available on the Connected Communities website, including a map. So I actually pulled this up. Very interesting here. Welcome to Connected Communities. Cincinnati is a great place to call home, but it's a difficult place to find housing. Enter the Connected Communities, a series of proposed land use and zoning policy changes to help Cincinnati grow into a more accessible, people-focused, diverse, healthy, and connected community for all. The goal isn't just to build more housing, but to house more people. So they've got a website up and going. You can play around with this. They've got some thoughts on here. They've got you can look at the maps in different areas and what they're talking about. I'm going to go back on this article, but just wanted you guys to know if you Google Connected Communities Cincinnati, you can bring this website up. I don't even know how to say this website. Experience.arcgis.com. All right, so let's keep going here. The city's current zoning code stifles home construction, Pureval told reporters, and contributes to poverty and racial and economic segregation. A majority of neighborhoods have seen no net housing growth since 2017, according to city data. The low number of net new homes being constructed also contributes to increased rents and housing prices in Cincinnati. So now we're not talking about greater Cincinnati. The mayor's talking about just the city limits. So if you saw the thumbnail of this video, actually, I think I can scroll down here and show you guys this map, and we'll get into this map a little bit more. But this kind of like weird shape right here is actually the city limit of Cincinnati. Now, greater Cincinnati, if you zoom out, is going to, in fact, let me try to do this real quick. Cincinnati, just so you guys kind of know, where we're at if you're not familiar with the area here. All right. So you see this in red right here. This is the map of Cincinnati. That is the same thing we are looking at in this article. That's the actual city outline. And that's what the mayor's talking about. And when he's talking about a housing shortage and where housing is being built, and I know because I just helped a couple more people buy new construction this week, not a lot of that is in this red outline of the city of Cincinnati. Really, where a lot of that is out is going to be more in the suburbs, either in northern Kentucky down here, and just sold a home over in Hebron in Thornwild area earlier this week, and the other one was in Union, Kentucky at Ballyshannon. We were also, I think we were looking at Hebron, but where other building, a lot of it is happening is kind of on the north side of town, Lebanon. We talked about developments going in Harrison, Hamilton, and kind of stretching north. There is some around here, but not a lot. And definitely not a ton within the actual red dotted lines of the actual city of Cincinnati city limits. Okay. Most of it's happening in the burbs. All right, let's get back to this article here. So, we make it more expensive. This is the mayor talking. We are de-incentivizing folks who are trying to build housing. We are losing many Cincinnatians who can't afford to stay here, Pureval said, adding that his proposal will increase the vibrancy of communities and the customer base of those communities. Now, I think this is really awesome in terms of, look, there are a bunch of these different business centers within the city limits that he's trying to boost. He's also trying to help areas that honestly people get priced out of. Like when the only thing that can be built there is like an $800,000 townhome, that like there's not a ton of people who can afford those. And so people keep getting pushed out, and he's trying now from a city standpoint, from an economic standpoint, of course, he's the mayor, and he's trying to figure out how do I keep more residents inside of the city, with more and more people after COVID, where you can move out of the city, live wherever you want, and then work remotely. Cities, not nationally, not just in Cincinnati, but nationally, are trying to figure out how do we keep that residential base? How do we keep that tax base? And how do we get more people in the city? And that's what they're kind of brainstorming here, which I think is cool. But also you're going to have, if you have more people in these different neighborhoods, the neighborhoods will be more vibrant. The businesses will be more populated. So this is the beginnings of a good plan. I'm just so curious to see how this pans out. Most of the major proposed changes would be centered in neighborhood business districts and along the proposed Cincinnati Metro bus rapid transit routes. Some of you guys have seen, and you guys can read this article. And if you go to the That's So Cincinnati podcast by Sherry Coolidge, who is on top of all of this, she did a really good interview here with Daryl Haley, the CEO of the Cincinnati Bus Metro. And so the plan here, kind of going back to this map, is how do we boost development in these places where the bus is going to head to? Because Lord knows the streetcar does not make it to all these places, but how do we get public transit to these different areas? So it's kind of like a combination plan that's going in here with the metro and with targeting these specific key areas of development, which again, I think very smart, very cool. It's kind of like a sniper approach here. So where was that? Bus rapid transit is a bus route that has many of the features of a light rail line for portions of the route, but without tracks. Those include dedicated lanes, prepaid fares to quicken boarding, stations, and traffic signal priority. So that's what's going on in the bus rapid transit routes that are coming out. Dedicated lanes, prepaid fares to quicken boarding, and stations and traffic signal priority. And you guys know, if you live here or if you don't live here, like what's really challenging about Cincinnati in terms of a public transit is it's very hilly. And so getting light rail anywhere, it's not like Indianapolis, it's not like Chicago or other kind of Midwest towns. We've got a lot of different terrain, different, what am I trying to say? Elevation in our terrain. And so that makes that light rail, a lot more challenging, which we'll talk about the streetcar in a little bit here. And so in terms of public transit, if you're wanting to have that, really the only thing we have right now, I mean, we do have the bus, and the bus does make its way out to different suburbs throughout town, but it's kind of wonky because we have Ohio and Kentucky. If you live in one or the other, you have to get to one spot where the other system picks you up to go to the other one. And so they're trying to fix this with this bus rapid transit routes. They're trying to extend the streetcar, all things to make, I think, the public transit better, healthier. And now they're trying to combine it with how do we get more development in those areas. Pureval said it's a once-in-a-generation opportunity to do meaningful transit-oriented development. The economic mobility of our citizens will be more robust. It's unclear how many new units of housing the changes could spur, Pureval said, adding that the market will play the biggest role in determining that. The proposal is the result of more than a year of community meetings and workshops and a survey that garnered over 1,200 responses. It has not yet been put into ordinance form because it will undergo months of community input, followed by votes by the Cincinnati Planning Commission and City Council. He wants a council vote by the time members recess for the summer at the end of June. So we'll be watching this over the course of the next few months. Pureval described the changes as surgical. And just by the way, I appreciate a government anytime they're using the word surgical. That's not a word that I would often use about government spending or plans. And so I'm a little bit hooked here just because, I probably lean more on the economically conservative side. I would probably lean that government, the private sector tends to be a little bit more efficient than the public sector. And so when I hear the mayor saying words like surgical, I don't know, that gets me a little bit excited. So, okay, I'm listening here. All right. I think everyone theoretically supports affordable housing. The challenge is where to put it. He said, our zoning code should provide options throughout our city. A majority of the land in the city requires single family housing. Part of the reason this hasn't been done is because it's incredibly hard. I just love that. We've tailored these reforms to be intentional. So here's the map I'm talking about. This is a map I think that you should download and take a look at. So this map, here's a little bit of a description here. The map shows the area where Cincinnati's zone code could potentially be changed. Again, nothing is voted yet, nothing's passed yet, but this is what could potentially be changed. The dark blue and green areas are neighborhood districts, and the lighter blue lines are the city's majority transit corridors. So if you're not moved here or you're thinking about moving here, I think this is a map that's important. Or, if you're thinking of buying or investing or whatever that is, take a look at these different business districts. I think it could be very, very important in the years to come here if this zoning laws get changed, if it's incentivizing developers to come in and boost residential. And by the way, if you are an investor, or in fact, I sent this article and the map to a couple of my friends who are investors this week, who typically buy apartments, and that's kind of been the thing is, in Cincinnati, because it's difficult, because it's kind of zoned for only single family here, a lot of developers are finding space. Well, where can we make the economies of scale work? And they go for larger multifamily buildings. This plan, as we continue to go into it, is touching on that missing middle. And I'll explain what that means here coming up next. So Pureval's plan. What's up, Brenda? What specific parts of Cincinnati do you think has the available land? Maybe Bond Hill or Roselawn? Yeah, definitely. But great question, Brenda. Bonus points for you for paying attention to this. And Yeah, I think there are a lot of different spots that there are land, but really it's the type of changes that they're proposing that I think is what is additionally smart about this plan is you don't need a bunch of new land for what they are proposing. So let me continue reading here, and we can get into the details. So here's some of the proposed changes. Okay, number one, allowing property owners by right to build row houses on any parcel zone single family 2 in the city. Today, SF2 single family 2 land is a piece of property with at least 2,000 square feet that allows only one single family home. So the policy would eliminate from the zoning code a requirement that there be space between homes and allow them to touch each other on the property line. It would allow more lots to be built on without seeking additional layers of government approval. Can I just like, I mean, when I'm here for this, when the mayor is saying I've got a plan that I want to put out there that doesn't require government approval. I mean, it does, but like they're trying to spur development, and I'm here for it, guys. Okay. Generally, front and rear setbacks and height requirements still would apply to whatever is built there. By right means they would not need a special approval or variance from the Cincinnati Planning Commission. So if you got a single family lot that's 2,000 square feet and you can only build a single family on that, well, now you can change that. You can build a row house on it, and now you've just increased the usage of that land, right? As a developer, you're always trying to find the highest and best use of any particular piece of land or property. If you can only do one single family home, but now you can turn that into a row house of 2, 3, or 4 homes. Well, now you're talking. Now you got some different options here. Okay, that's plan number 1. Here's bullet point number 2 of the plan. Within a quarter mile of the city's 39 neighborhood business districts, so going back to that map, they're looking at 39 neighborhood business districts, allow property owners to, by right, build new or renovate existing structures or have 2, 3, or 4 units. Okay, so read that again. Within a quarter mile of the business districts, allow property owners to, by right, build new or renovate existing structures that have 2 or 3 or 4 units. So going back to here, these green areas are the neighborhood districts and the blue. So within a quarter mile of these, you could build duplexes, triplexes, quads by right without needing the approval. Okay, that's another creative idea. Within a half mile of the Metro's first 2 bus rapid transit corridors along Hamilton Avenue and Reading Road, allow property owners to, by right, build or renovate existing structures to have 2, 3, or 4 units. So what are they trying to do? They're trying to increase the density without needing the new land, because that's the thing about Cincinnati. It's landlocked. It's landlocked by these different hills. It's hard to find the land to build big space. So what is this plan? What are they trying to create? They're trying to create more density in the space that we already have, renovate what's already there, and put it along the major transit lines and the business neighborhoods that already exist. I'm telling you, I like this. I like what's going on here. Okay, next bullet point. Directly on the streets of Metro's other bus rapid transit or 24-hour per day, 7 days a week bus routes, allow property owners to, by right, build or renovate existing structures to have 2, 3, or 4 units directly on the street. Those routes generally run along Glenway Avenue, Harrison Avenue, Westwood, Northern Boulevard, Madison Road, and Gilbert Avenue, Montgomery Road. Now, I'd love to hear, guys, as you're hearing this, if you're here in the city, I'm really interested to hear like what people will be pushing back on this, because I'm sure there's reasons to push back as well that I'm not thinking of right now. But in the meantime, I'm like, man, this is cool. Like, you're trying to get density for residents that can't afford. We have a housing affordability issue in America. We just do. And so how can you create spaces where you can incentivize developers to get more density, and it's in a place where you can have that public transit. So this is the plan. I'm going forward. Okay, going to keep reading here. 1 second. Got to drink a little tea. All right. Within neighborhood business districts, remove density restrictions prescribed by the zoning code. Building code requirements such as how big bedrooms have to be would not be altered, so developers will not be able to construct New York City style apartments with tiny closet size bedrooms. So what does that mean? We can't just crunch people into a terrible living space. We're not New York. We're Cincinnati. Okay. So in Cincinnati, you get to have a little space because you can afford it. Whereas, I think I saw the average one bedroom still median, or the median still around 800. I would guess the two bedrooms around, I don't know, 975, something like that, 1,000. What does that get you in New York? A closet? I don't know. They're like, hey, you can't just crunch people into no living space. So the bedroom sizes still exist. Along the major transit corridors, removing zoning code density requirements and allowing property owners to build 1 story higher than in the current zoning code, excluding lots zoned for single family homes. So that allows you to go to 1 story higher. So it's not going to be a huge eyesore, but you do get a little extra space. Again, for the renovation of any existing building in the city, eliminate parking requirements. This is a big one. For new buildings, parking requirements would be reduced to 1 space per residential unit and add flexibility for new commercial buildings. Today's residential parking requirements generally mandate 2 spaces for single family zoning and 1.5 spaces for the majority of multifamily housing. It's a lot cheaper and a lot more climate friendly to rehabilitate existing buildings than demolish them, Pureval said. So this is where I can imagine there's going to start to be some pushback. I think this is smart, because a big reason why developers have a hard time, building is not just the home, but you've got to have room for parking. And so you got to buy land to do both. And so if you're doing a duplex or a tri or a quad, like you've got to like double your land costs and double the space. And so this is saying, no, just 1 per residential. I can imagine some pushback here. But again, excuse me, that's why I think this is smart, because they're pairing it and they're coupling it with kind of these new ideas in terms of transit. And so if you have more people who are using the metro, who are using, the bus rapid transit system, and if the streetcar does continue to expand out in future years, then, then the need for parking is less. Now, what's smart, I think what's pretty clever around this is, and it's true, but saying like it's a lot cheaper and more climate friendly. So what you're kind of saying, hey, let's try to get rid of cars too. I mean, that's smart. There's a movement towards that. And so, I think it's smart. I think it's smart. I hope there's no pushback from city council unless the mayor has executive power here. No, this is going to need to get by council. My understanding of it is something like this came up like a year or a couple of years ago, but it didn't have the buy-in. So again, going back to what they're doing here, this guy's a smart politician, is having this site, where people can explore it, trying to figure out what the missing middle is and engage. So they've got these meetings already set up. Tuesday, February 20th. If you guys want to go to this is in a couple of weeks. And the 28th, in-person engagement meeting in Bond Hill, in Price Hill. Don't know where that one. Oh, that's a virtual. And then at the convention center. So there's already meetings scheduled where the public can talk about it. There's this website where you can interact. There's an FAQ. So, coming off of the win of, of selling the railroad, and it remains to be seen, I guess, whether that is a win for the city of Cincinnati. But I would say a political win, in that the mayor sold the asset, got the money. The money's going into a fund. Theoretically, that the plan behind that is you never touch the principal, and the money that's being made off the fund is much more than we could have got off the lease. So you can put more into public projects. Theoretically, coming off that win, I think he's got some momentum. And so this plan of connecting communities and the metro sounds like there's some other things behind the scenes as well. Again, it's smart, and he's kind of riding that wave of the win of the railroad, I would say, as well. Okay, moving on here. A few other points on this. Along the major transit corridors, eliminate parking requirements. That's another big one. Within a quarter mile of neighborhood business districts, eliminate parking requirements for a new commercial property of 5,000 square feet or less, which the mayor considers to be the size of a small business. So again, you're getting rid of a lot of parking requirements here, and you're increasing the density. Within a next point, within a quarter mile of neighborhood business districts, relax parking requirements to half of the current number of spaces required for new commercial property exceeding 5,000 square feet. Within a quarter mile of neighborhood business districts, reduce residential parking requirements for new buildings. A brand new 10-unit or less residential building would require no new parking. Larger new residential buildings require a half space per unit. I mean, they're just chopping parking in half here, which is a huge deal for developers. Low-income housing tax credit projects in neighborhood business districts and along transit corridors will be allowed an additional story plus more density, as well as reduced parking requirements. All right, so that's the look from the Business Courier, the Inquirer, and by the way, Sharon Coolidge is all over this. She's a great reporter. So like I said, if you want a little bit more on this, go to the That's So Cincinnati podcast. She talks about it. Her husband, Alex, had a kind of insider meeting with the mayor on this. And I know she's going to be, it seems like she has like some incredible access to the mayor. So I think if you want to know about it, continue to read what Sharon Coolidge is putting out there. But this is another article. I mean, same idea from the Inquirer's perspective. Whoops. City of Cincinnati wants to make it easier to build housing. Now what's talked about in this article was not talked about in the other one, which is what I was mentioning before, the missing middle. Try to make this bigger. Can I scroll this? There we go. Okay. So critical to the city's housing shortfall is what the mayor calls the missing middle, residences between single-family homes and large mixed-use projects. The city wants to make it easier for the private sector to build new and renovate existing buildings to create more duplexes, row houses, and small mixed-use developments with residential units. I'm going to show a picture of this really quick. This is the picture from the other article, but here, this missing middle. So here's a single-family home. We're all familiar with what that is. Probably everyone knows what a duplex is, triplex, fourplex. Here's a row home. So there you see there's, your walls are attached. And they're saying, with the suggested change, you could put this row home in the same spot where you could put a single-family home before. Then you've got cottage court and small mixed use, so some retail underneath, and a large mixed use. And then you see a handful of these right now, and you see single-family, and it's called the missing middle because you don't see a lot of these. And so the idea is making more middle housing, such as row homes, duplexes, that was formerly single-family zone areas. Cincinnati can address its housing supply issue and increase affordability. Very cool. Okay. Let me go back up here. If the city gets it right, Cincinnati housing will become more affordable for buyers and renters alike, and will retain and gain residents critical to building its economic future. Again, I'm here for this. Get more housing, increase the supply, so that demand is brought down. When you increase supply, what happens to pricing? Pricing goes down. But if pricing goes down and you've got increased supply, Cincinnati also continues to be an attractive city for people who aren't living here. People like you guys who are watching this channel right now. A lot of people who are like, man, I want to live in a cool city. I want it to be a vibrant city, a diverse city, and an affordable city. And that's one of the things Cincinnati really has going for it. And is that we're so affordable compared to other cities. Now, eventually, yes, this could get caught up and you get priced out, but we're not seeing that boom yet. I just, in the short term and midterm, it's a good plan. It's a good plan. I mean, if you're a mayor, you're trying to get more people to come to your city, right? And so I don't think that I know locals, I see this everywhere. And it doesn't matter. Excuse me. Excuse me. Talking too much. I wish I could talk with you guys. It doesn't matter if you're in Cincinnati or any city, but when like a flood of people come in, there, a lot of people who live there their whole life are like, I wish the flood of people didn't come in. I've never seen a giant flood come into Cincinnati. I still think this is a good plan to get more density into these areas and try to bring down affordability of housing even more. I think it's really cool. On Monday, they rolled out this plan, broadly changing. It will allow higher density residential areas, connected communities. We talked about a lot of this in the other article. The Inquirer reported earlier this month the median asking rent or the rental price listed by the landlord for a one-bedroom apartment in Cincinnati is $825. So I mentioned that before, according to an online apartment search platform. Pureval said the change is needed to spur more housing options in the city. Because our zoning code is incongruent with the housing needs of our city, it slows down the process and we make it more expensive. As a result, our housing production has slipped significantly, despite the fact our population is growing in the last 10 years. So why should you care? It makes it easier to build housing in the 39 recognized business district. Under the plan, developers would be able to build more units in less space, fewer required parking spaces, which makes it more cost-effective for them to do projects. But don't panic. Things won't look that much differently because setbacks aren't being changed. You can build one story higher. So we still keep a lot of the look of Cincinnati while doing this. What about historic areas? Preservation rules apply in historic areas, and they still will trump zoning law. And that is a big deal about this. You can't just come in and wreck Cincy in terms of our architecture, because we do have a ton of awesome architecture. This is a historic city. It's an important city in terms of the history of the United States, and a lot of that is found in the architecture. So that is not that will not be going away. What about affordable housing? This is also interesting to me. This may provide more affordable housing, but it's not intended as an affordable housing program. The city is still working on that in other ways, but this plan does not include requirements that developers include affordable housing options. City officials say by building more housing, rents for everyone will go down. That's an important point, and that's more of an economic point. But oftentimes what the zoning laws require, say, developer, if you're going to build this like class A amazing space, you also have to build affordable housing. And this is not requiring that. But the idea is if you build more housing, if you build new housing, or if you renovate, more people move in, and the other housing that's already there, because there's more supply, again, prices go down. So in effect, it's just basic economics. But when you have more supply, pricing goes down. And so while you're not specifically building affordable housing projects as defined, you're creating more housing. You're creating housing that is more affordable. That makes sense? You guys are smart. That makes sense. So there's a missing middle. So I don't know. What do you guys think? We'd love to hear. You can still have a say. Will it pass? Too soon to say. So to the question of VK asks, it's got to go before the Cincinnati Planning Commission and will get a council vote. So this is not just executive power. This has to be voted on by council members. They're going to gauge how citizens feel about it. And if citizens don't like it, council members will probably vote so that their constituents will keep them in office. That's how politics works. So you get a say here, and you can go to this site, like I mentioned, go to these meetings. I think you can get it on an email list here if you guys are interested in following this. I know I'll be following this story. That's very interesting. So, all right, that's a big story of the night. A couple other ones I want to hit as we move on. How far in are we? 39 minutes. All right. Another big exciting news is the $200 million renovation of the convention center is revitalizing a corner of downtown, bringing in millions annually. So I spent most of the time on that zoning. So I just wanted to talk about that, but I wanted to hit this article here of the Duke Convention Center. Without a highly functioning convention center and headquarters hotel, there's about $41 million annual hole in Cincy's economy, one that typically would be filled from visitors across the country as they gather to talk about their industry, examine new products, and network. Over the last 9 years, the city lost out on 52 conventions per year. Their organizers cited a lack of convention center assets or a substandard of non-existent headquarters hotel, according to Visit Cincy, the region's convention and visitors bureau. The city and county are expected to take the final steps in the next few weeks to begin filling that void, voting on the financing package for the Duke Energy Convention Center's $200 million overhaul. So, quick look at some of the new renderings that are coming out. Brenda, what's up? I've noticed Madisonville has been a huge area for new construction. Yeah, places like Madisonville, and other areas in Blue Ash. My friends over at $5 Construction, where there is tax incentives. Places like Madeira as well. Good school districts, family-friendly neighborhoods, but not a lot of land. Madisonville is one that's seen a lot of renovation over the last few years. It's a great area for young professionals. It's kind of like a little bit more affordable than Oakley. You don't have all the amenities, but it's a great location in terms of what's surrounding there with Walnut Hills and Hyde Park and Oakley. But these different areas and neighborhoods, what you've seen is buying an old home for 150 to 250 grand, tearing it down and building up new construction on that lot. And so you've seen that in multiple places. I think, again, that goes back to the zoning laws. And so when you can only do single family in these areas, that's kind of where it stalls out development. That's kind of the option, is because people want that. A lot of people don't want the home from the 1940s. That's like every room is, and you can renovate it, but you're still living in a 1940s home. And people want newer homes. Like people want newer construction and better insulated homes and better designs and things like that. And so what you see developers do is buy houses, tear them down, and build up new. But it's kind of a weird mix. Notice that has been a huge area for new construction. So we have been seeing that. So thanks for commenting on that, Brenda. I appreciate that. Definitely seeing that. So back to the slideshow. Here's some of the latest renderings for the convention center, which I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think this looks cool? That's as big as I can get it, I guess. I don't think it's changing at all. I think that's pretty cool. Very triangular. I don't know. What are the words here? I'm not a very good architect. Looks cool. Looks like a ton of windows for natural light. I like that. That's cool. I love that. Bringing in more natural light into the building, creating spaces that will wow convention attendees. Yeah, we should wow people. That's pretty sweet. I'm guessing this is the hotel going in, maybe? The rendering of the hotel? Or I don't think that's another building that currently exists. $200 million overhaul. And then got some shots from inside. Sorry, had that music on the whole time. Where were we? It is very triangular. I'm digging it. More space, more light. Again, this is all about economic growth. And, this is overdue. Downtown Cincinnati. Another one that is overdue in Cincinnati is not having an arena. And so there's no question we miss out on conventions, both business, but also sports is, I'm so jealous of Indianapolis, by the way, because they've got all that flat land. You can build whatever you want in their downtown. It's easy to build. They're not landlocked like we are with the river and the hills. And so, NCAA is there. They get the Final Four. They get all kinds of conventions there in Indianapolis. And since he's like, all right, we need this. We need to upgrade the convention. We need this better hotel downtown. And there's definitely thoughts going on around the arena. I know Jeff Berding, who is president of FC Cincinnati, I think. I forget his title, but former city council member, the guy who gets things done in Cincinnati. I know he is on it for wanting to get an arena here, a new arena, not U.S. Bank. Is it U.S. Bank? Heritage? Is it Heritage right now? But the one, what is it? I always forget. I think it's Heritage. Yeah, Heritage Bank Center right now. Sorry, Heritage. My bad. We called it U.S. Bank Arena for years. So there is some new looks at the convention center. BK, hopefully the new builds coming are affordable. I've seen the townhouses in Westchester going for $600,000. That's a lot for a townhouse. Yeah. We have mentioned before. I do think new builds, again, this is going to take a few years. But I do think if the city zoning passes and you're spurring on developers, I'm curious what other incentives will come in. If you get a spurring on of developers, some of the new builds or renovations within the city will be more affordable. In terms of other homes, and this is why I've done so many new construction homes on the channel, is because new construction is really nice. I'm not going to lie. I've got a home and it's over 100 years old, and I had plumbing backed up last week because my clay pipe in the backyard is breaking. And I spent this morning, raise your hand if you've ever, worked on shoveling out human debris from your 100-year-old plus basement. And it's not a lot of fun. I'm not going to lie. It's not a lot of fun. When I sell these homes for Dries and Fisher and Five Daughters or Justin Doyle or different builders, I'm like, yeah, this is really nice. New homes are really, really nice. Now, I love the location. I love the neighborhood. I love my neighbors. I love so many other things about my town and where I live. I just wish sometimes that I could have new construction. And new construction, so where we're at, still does make a lot of sense because, price per square foot is going to be a little bit more, but again, everything's new. Your roof is new. Your furnace is new. Your windows are new. The flooring's new. The kitchen's new. Everything is brand new, which means you're not going to be putting money into mechanicals or repairs for several years. You can just move in. You can enjoy it. There's a lot of good reasons. Plus, right now, what we're seeing with a lot of builders still is they're offering really good deals on points with their loans. Where they might offer a 2-1 buy down over a couple of years where you're getting a couple of points, or even on top of that. So you might get a 2-point buy down on your rate. And then you also might get 2 points towards your closing costs. There's a lot of reasons to go new construction. And that's why I present those, because we are still in a situation where inventory is low. I know with rates kind of creeping back down in those 6.5s, if they go lower again, this spring and summer is going to be crazy. It's going to be a ton of multiple offers for low inventory. And if you just want to avoid all of that, because even if you win in a resale home market, which again, it's going to, the same amount of square feet is going to be a little bit less, but you're probably going to need to do some renovations and some, or maybe not full renovation, but new paint, or maybe you want to upgrade the kitchen or the bath or new flooring. So you're putting money into it. You're putting time and hassle into it. You had to deal with, and again, if you want to go that route, again, my team's very skilled at doing this. We help a lot of people buy resale homes. We mostly sell resale homes in terms of all the homes that we sell. But new construction is, if you don't want the stress and you want everything brand new, it is really nice. Because you're not dealing with the hassle of trying to win in a low inventory competitive market. Brenda, is there any new construction within the $300,000 price range? Yeah, there is actually. For a single family, it's tough, but it can be done. I just literally on Friday, I was with a client who's building her first home. She got it. The base price for the home was $308. I want to say this is a 2-story, 3-bedroom home. It was with Fisher, and we walked through and did the build out with, because you get the base price, you can choose a community, and different communities are different price points because of the cost of the land and the demand and all of that. Excuse me. And but we did the build out, and she kept everything to, I want to say $20,000. It was $20,000 total, and so the whole thing was $328,000 for 2-story, 3-bedroom. Trying to think how many. I think it was 2 full bathroom with a basement. No, I'm sorry. That was on a pad on a slab, not a basement. So she saved probably like 30 or 40 grand on that when you don't have the basement. But it can be done. There are other, if you are okay with not doing single family, it can definitely be done. There are patio home and paired patio home options and condos and townhomes that are all new construction that can keep you either under 300 or close to that 300 range. Ooh, okay. My voice is starting to go out. Good question. Would let Brenda email us at info@teamstanio.com if you want more info. There's options both on the on the trees and the Fisher Homes sites. There's some other ones around that we could point you to as well. But in terms of quality, those are my 2 favorite in the area. So yeah. Eileen. Hey, Eileen. This is my number 1 Facebook fan. I love to visit relatives in Cincinnati when I was a teenager, Hyde Park Square to be exact, along with my sister Margaret. Well, I love your sister Margaret, and who is my wife's grandmother, but Hyde Park Square is still a phenomenal place to visit. If you go there, you have to go into Graders. It's a must. I believe it's their oldest location. I don't think it was their first, but I think it's their oldest location. And it's great. It's so charming. Hyde Park Square is so charming. Eileen, thanks for commenting. Good to see you. All right, let's move on, and then we'll wrap it up for tonight. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to jump in. Oh, Streetcar. All right, I'm not going to do a deep dive into this tonight because my voice hurts, but the Streetcar backers have unveiled 9 new potential routes. This is all kind of like a voluntary route. This is not the city. This is not government. This is a group of people. President of the, let's see, who is it? Where is it? I'm trying to see. Supporters of the Cincinnati Streetcar Project. They have a name. I'm just trying to find them. I don't see them in this article, but current streetcars, 148 million. All 9 will have an overall system map that could be a 30-year goal. So this is coming out like one by one, but you guys should check out these articles both on, they're also talking about the bus rapid transit lines here as well. But here are some of the different routes. Let's see here. So this is from downtown to Corryville. I think this one is really interesting and maybe the most important one out of these 9, because where you're getting to is, I think this one goes up Reading, and you're getting up to the University of Cincinnati and the hospital center. And this was always really important from the beginning. And this is a big hill. It's hard to see here, but this is like, there's a big hill here. And so it's hard to get it up there. But to get, these are like 2 of the biggest employers in all of Cincinnati, the hospitals and the university. And so if you can get the streetcar up there so that people with jobs could get down to more of the entertainment district and downtown to the restaurants and the businesses, that would seem like a really good idea. There are more options. Let's see here. So here's some of the different routes. Could travel to the West End, Camp Washington, Clifton, Walnut Hills, and Corryville, and further into over the Rhine, heading west. Oh, that's all heading north. Heading west, one would go to Ezra Charles Drive to the Museum Center. Another one over the Western Hills Viaduct to South Fairmont, and a third down to through downtown to Queensgate. One line is suggested across the Ohio River to Newport and Covington into northern Kentucky, but I think that depends on what's happening with the 4th Street Bridge. So you can see all these different routes that are suggested. Again, I think what probably makes most sense is like which one will bring the most economic value right now to the city, which I think is probably this Corryville one. Again, up to the hospitals and the university center, and get students down there. I mean, that just makes a lot of sense. To try to get that done. I'd love to see personally in Northern Kentucky, because I think that's anything that's kind of connecting regionally, I think is cool as well. And so here's one suggesting kind of going to the Mega Core Pavilion, which I've showed you guys so that's a concert center, but also you have the Ovation residences going up there. You've got Newport on the Levee. This one go all the way up Monmouth. That would be awesome. I would actually love that, because I live in Northern Kentucky, and this would make things so easy for parking and getting to games and stuff. Also going down into Main Strasse and Madison. That would be awesome. Yeah. So I'm in Kentucky, so that has my vote. But those are the routes that are presented. I'm very curious this looks like all of them right here. Okay, cool. So up to Corryville, further out kind of west end. So this is Museum Center. Here's down Queensgate. This one is the one going over the Western Hills Viaduct to North Fairmont. This one going all the way up to Camp Washington. So cool. I'm glad this conversation is happening. The streetcar, which is down here in blue, is cool, but again, it's just kind of a loop from northern over the Rhine, up by Rhinegeist there, down to the banks. So if you're downtown, it's great, but it doesn't really connect anything else, and you have to be downtown to kind of use it. So hope that gets going here. Hearing your plumbing story makes me want to get to go new construction. I'm scared to buy a home and then be stuck with repairs I can't afford. Yeah, I mean, any homeowner, you got to be prepared for some repairs, obviously, and some additional costs you weren't expecting. But typically going to be less with new construction. The plumbing thing, I have 5 kids, and we're like trying not to use water and trying not to do laundry and trying not to do the dishes. And we were like waiting for our plumber to come out. We're like, please get out here to auger it out. It's so yeah, today I was down there with a shovel. I kind of let it dry out, and I was like scooping, like you guys, scooping stuff out with a shovel and a shop vac. It was all dried out. I gave it a good amount of time. And then I just had a bottle of like Lysol bleach. I'm just like spraying bleach everywhere. Fortunately, it's not a finished basement. It's just an old basement with a stone foundation that's kind of like, we use for just kind of rough dry storage anyway. But the joys of home ownership. Yes. I mean, you see on Facebook and Instagram and realtors selling dreams. And, sometimes dreams and homeownership comes with shoveling poop out of your basement. That's life. That's life. That's what life is. So, St. Lampley, what's up? What are your favorite charming neighborhoods in Cincinnati? Maybe have some bars, food, trees, parks around, good for the family too. That village vibe. Great question. So in Cincinnati itself, and I'm curious, when you say good for family, like what does that mean? Does that mean really good school districts to you? One of the ones I mentioned before that is charming and really great for families is Blue Ash. I really like Blue Ash, which is right up here. It's got some really cool areas. Another one is Madeira, is really great, charming, great school district. Got a cool downtown area that they've been doing some development down there. Amberley is really cool and kind of laid back. I really like Amberley, super charming. St. Bernard is charming as well. That's going to be a little more affordable, probably. Schools maybe not quite as strong. Marymount is where are we at here? Marymount also very cool and charming. Their downtown area, awesome, kind of walkable area. Really like that one. Oakley's probably like more young professionals, I would say, than families. Then as you get like, if you want the best school districts, it's kind of like getting more out into the burbs. I mean, Indian Hill is really strong, but Indian Hill is like the priciest neighborhood in all of Cincinnati. This is like where the rich people live. But great school district. Anderson, in Anderson Township, which is right down here, which includes Chirpin and Anderson. Really strong community, great parks, not as like charming. I mean, does not as charming village feel. So it's like one of the earlier suburbs as people like moved kind of east from downtown. But the parks are great. The school districts are great. I used to live out in Anderson. I really, really enjoyed it. And then like some of the best school districts, Anderson's one of the best. Mason is kind of known on the Ohio side as like one of the top places to live. But again, this is going to feel way more suburban and more spread out. Really strong community, great schools, great parks, really well laid out neighborhoods, well designed, but again, more suburban feel, less charming village feel. In northern Kentucky, one other in Mason is kind of like Lakota schools, also kind of that suburban feel. Back in northern Kentucky, top school districts with a charming feel, Fort Thomas definitely has that. There's no buses, so your kids are walking to school. It's like very Mayberry-esque. The thing that's cool about Fort Thomas is it's surrounded by the river and it's up on a hill. And so you're really only going to Fort Thomas if you're going to Fort Thomas. So there's great parks up here. I love Tower Park, Highland Hills, and Rossford on the north side, right here. Really strong community. Very, very charming. Fort Thomas can be hard to get into, just in terms of demand. The other one that's like it is Fort Mitchell, right here in northern Kentucky. Also great schools, some charming pockets of neighborhoods as well. But because it has the highway going through it and 25 does go through it, it's broken up a little bit more. So you don't have that walkable feel like Fort Thomas, but it's cool. If you are not caring about school districts so much, there's a lot of other places I would recommend: Covington, Newport, Bellevue, Norwood, North Side, even College Hill, that have more. Wyoming. Wyoming's actually another good pocket for family-friendly, cool parks, village feel. So that's a lot. I hope that helps. Those are some areas. Not trying to. If you want to get a feel for some of these places, by the way, go to niche.com and do like Blue Ash or something like that. But this is great for giving you, because technically as a realtor, I'm not supposed to, kind of steer to one neighborhood or the other. I'm supposed to point you to websites like this, but you can get a feel for public schools, housing, good for families, nightlife, crime, etc. And you can look at this list, best places to live. So there's going to be some of the places I just mentioned: Madeira, Blue Ash, Marymount, Kenwood, Wyoming, Montgomery, Mason. This is kind of Mason area, Indian Hill. So Fort Thomas. So basically the top 10 I just mentioned here. And this is in Anderson. Where's Landon? I don't know actually what that is. Up by Loveland. Okay. Yeah, Loveland's really nice. If you want more river life, or like outdoor, anywhere along, let me go back to the map. But Loveland out here, there's old downtown Loveland is awesome. It's so cute. And it's right on, I think it's right here at the river. Tons of cool little shops right here, and some cool bars, good park. This is a very, very cool area of Cincinnati. But anywhere up and down kind of Little Miami, if you want to do like kayaking, there's some great trails. There's the Loveland Bike Trail out here. Is really fun for an outdoor, in terms of outdoor living. I like that area of Cincinnati for outdoor living. So yes, hope that helps. You're very, 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 very welcome. All right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up. That's a lot of info for the night. Thank you so much for watching. There's our mayor, by the way. So we'll see what happens going forward with that. We'll be following that story. Hope you guys have a great week. As always, if you guys wouldn't mind, if you've been watching this far, which a lot of you have, thank you. Thumbs up the video if you wouldn't mind, so it gets out to more people. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't enjoyed the Stanio Clanio already. If you are thinking of moving here, of course, email us, info@teamstanio.com. My team and I would love to be your real estate resource of choice. Then we can do fun events like the aquarium that we just did, and you'll get hoodies. Like, who doesn't want a good hoodie? This thing is really soft, by the way. We did a good job buying these. Carrie did a good job buying these. If you're an agent and you're watching this, by the way, which I know some of you guys do, and you don't like what's going on with your business or the team that you're on or something like that, hit me up as well, because we're looking for great people to join the team. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful week. We'll see you next time.